Welcome and hello. This is a video tutorial on HEC ResSim, and in this lesson, I'm going to be talking about capacity outage schedules. Capacity outage schedules allow us, the modelers, to schedule outages for certain outlets in our reservoirs and then see how that affects operations. What I have on the screen here is a reservoir network. It's a very simple network with one reservoir and a couple of reaches. The capacity outage schedule feature is one of the four features that can be added to the operations set by activating it from the operations menu in the reservoir editor. So let's go ahead and go there. I'm going to right click, edit reservoir properties. And here we have our reservoir editor dialog box pop up. Um, the first tab is for physical and then operations and then observe data. In the physical tab, I already have some data set up. I've got my pool and my dam, and part of the dam face, I have a tailwater condition, as well as three controlled outlets and one power plant. I just made up some numbers here, but the controlled outlet one has four gates, controlled outlet two has two gates, three is three, and then the power plant has two gates as well. All right, so that's it. That's the physical tab. Over in the operations tab, let's start by just creating an operations set. So I'll just call it operations set one. That gives me my zones. And I'm not going to spend any time in this exercise talking about zones or rules or anything. But what I want to do is go up to operations and then select use outage schedule. So when I click that, I get a new tab here or sub tab. So I have my zones and rules, my release allocation, and now I have a tab here for outages. Now, by default, this feature is turned off, and it's assumed that all outlets are available for use at all times. But for many reservoirs, especially hydropower reservoirs, that assumption is false. This feature allows us to schedule outages and then see how they affect our simulation. Also worth mentioning is the little check appears here when this tab and use outage schedule feature is enabled. All right, so here's our main page here for editing. And let's just go ahead and make some edits to see how this works. Start by clicking the add button over here in the right. Then what we do here is select an outlet. So we can select our controlled outlet 1, 2, 3, or the power plant. I'll go ahead and select controlled outlet 1. Next, it's asking me to specify a date time to start and end. So I'm going to go ahead and say Monday of next week through Friday of next week. And then for time, I'll just say beginning of the day to the end of the day in hours, military time. Now, capacity factor, this refers to the fraction part of the outlet's capacity that will be available for release during the outage. So, for example, here at the controlled outlet one, there's four gates. But say, for instance, this week, this outage only refers to maintenance on one of the four gates. In that case, I'll just go ahead and put 0.75 so that three-quarters of the controlled outlet one capacity still exists. But one of those four gates will be out of service. If it's only one gate and that one particular gate is completely out of service, you would just go ahead and put a 0 there. I'll go ahead and select 0.75. The next item down is repeat. So if it's just a one-off schedule, then you can leave it at none. That's the default schedule. But you can click none and specify a repeating pattern, such as once a day, weekly, monthly, or yearly. So if this particular maintenance is scheduled for once a year, then I would just say once a year, and then I can end it at some future year. And then, yeah, we'll just say 2030. Okay. And then okay here. All right. And then the note, we can just add a note if we want, and then go ahead and click OK. After we've added this and we select this particular outage, then the options on the side here become clickable, such as duplicate, delete, and edit. So for instance, if I needed to make a change, I could click edit, make those edits, and then click OK. Also there's a plot, so I could click the plot button and it would show me a plot of that outage with the schedule range up at the top. So if I wanted to just extend the range a little bit so we could see the outage and then the before and after, and then I click update plot, we have through this controlled outlet 1, we have 100% capacity, and then it drops down to 0.75 for that 5-day time period, and then back up to 100%, or a factor of 1.0. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and close that plot. We can also click duplicate here. So if I click duplicate, it's just going to give me a duplicated record, and that's a quick and easy way to make an edit as well. So instead of starting new, I could duplicate an existing record and then click edit. And then say I wanted the power plant to be offline, and that's one of the two gates. So I'll say 0.5 for the power plant, but we'll schedule this for a couple weeks later. So I'm going to update these dates to be from the 26th to say the 30th. Okay. Okay, so there's 5 days there. And then I'll click OK. Now we have two different outages that are scheduled. Maybe I wanted to make that every other year. So instead of yearly, I could come up here and increase this to 2. Or maybe if it's every quarter, I could say monthly and then increase this to 3. So every third month. And then again, we could specify the end date as well. And then click OK. And then click OK. Now we can actually highlight these at the same time by pushing the shift button and then just highlighting them both and then click plot. Now let me modify the date range here. So I could just do the entire month of August. We could see what that looks like. Update plot. Here we now see both of our outages with the legend down below indicating which outlet. So again, from the 12th to the 16th, we're down to 7.75 capacity for that outlet number 1. And then later in the month, we have a week where the power plant is only at 0.5 capacity. So that is a quick explanation on the capacity outage schedules feature that's used in HEC ResSim.